Happy Sabbath. Happy Sabbath. Yes. Well, it's good to be together and share the words together. The title today is somewhat different. While the meat was still between their teeth, before they chew, actually. Yes. We gather on Sabbath because we know that on Sabbath day is special. Sabbath day is the day we will be blessed. To be blessed, what kind of blessing we will have? What kind of blessing we will have today? God will make us holy. Yes. Okay. Can you read it?
Then God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because in it he rested from work which I had created and made.
That's right. It's a really good Sabbath. And because we come into the time, God already sanctified the time. So when we met Sabbath, we should always remember God prepared it while His creation. Well, we cannot see the holiness when we start it, but we must come into the Sabbath with a faith, although we cannot see. And we can join that sanctification with our faith. That's why about the faith, Bible says like this. Can you read it?
Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. For by it the elders obtained a good testimony.
That's right. Although we cannot see, by faith we know that this hour is holy. But although we cannot see the Jesus in here, but by faith we must see Him. We must feel the presence of the Lord, and we must come to Him with the truth and the Spirit. So we come here not because of practically we join for the worship, but we come here to meet the God, and we come here to be sanctified by the God. Last time, I spoke about seeing. When the Satan knows that we are living in the last generation, he gives us more to see. And he takes our time with those things, and he wants to let us see more things like this. Yes, there are YouTube, there are Netflix, there are even TikToks, and everything. When you take a rest, I see the people, they always do this, isn't it? Even the children, even the baby, even the adult, what they do during the time, they do the cell phone. I didn't see the hand who is reading the Bible. Well, the Satan really knows that. That's why he produced lots of film in the last days, because he wants to take your time. And he wants you to see different light. So this is the graph that's showing that after 2000, making film is what? Rapidly goes up. Why? Because he knows that when he takes your time with the phone and others, then you have no time to read the Bible. So Satan is doing his own things, but what about you? You are enjoying killing your time with the cell phone and the filming? Or you still have a time to read the Bible now? Jesus said, even the temple looks like very beautiful will be destroyed. Can you read it?
These things which you see, the days will come in which one stone shall be left upon another, that shall not be thrown down.
That's right. Even all the stone in the temple of God, it was destroyed. The people was enjoying to see it because it was so beautiful. But Jesus clearly say that because their heart is not in the spirit of the temple. Their heart was in the outfigure of beautiness of the temple. And the temple, we must remember that it was torn down, everything. Sure, if you don't have a time today to read a Bible, but you have a time to do the gaming or the cell phone, now you must have a plan to read a Bible. You must sanctify the time of the day, and you must keep that hour only read a Bible. Jesus is speaking, and recently I understood what that means. Can you read it?
The lamp of the body is the eye. If therefore your eye is good, your whole body will be full of light. And if your eye is bad, your whole body will be full of darkness. If therefore the light that is in you is darkness, how great is that darkness?
That's right. What does it mean? Your eye is a lamp of the body. So whatever you see, if you see good one, your whole body will be full of the light. If we fill our eyes with the words of God, then we'll be full of the light. Well, it is clear. If we share the light of the words, then our full body will be filled with the body. But if we see the entertainment from the word and we fill our body, then the darkness will be there. We can understand this because after this, the Jesus speaking, very next verse is like this. Can you read it?
No one can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will be loyal to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon.
That's right. While you are being entertained by the word, you cannot be entertained by the God. In other words, when you entertain by the God, you cannot entertain by the word too. We must see the heaven. The seeing the heaven is not like it's okay to see the heaven or not to see the heaven. That's not kind of matter like that. If you have a stubborn, and if you don't read the Bible, and if you don't start it, you must know that no one will take care about your spirit too. Today, you should choose what you're gonna feel in your heart. Because Jesus is speaking again like this. Okay?
A good man out of the good treasure of his heart brings forth good things, and an evil man out of the evil treasure brings forth evil things.
That's right. Whatever you put in your heart through your eye, that will come out also to the judgment time. Well, you try to think. Every time when you just spend all the day with a cell phone, you don't feel like yourself is use the time for nothing. If you never think that way, there is something problem. Well, as you know, this week there are earthquake in Japan, 7.6. And still this hour, many people are under the collapse building. Still there are people who survived, and there are many people in this moment dying under the house. As you know, also there were a flood in US, also in Germany. But this kind of things, the disaster, we're not considering anymore. Jesus spoke this way long time ago, or I don't know where looking at. Can you read it?
Now when these things begin to happen, look up and lift up your heads, because your redemption draws near.
Yes. The people who knows that we are living in the last generation, we must look up to heaven, not look down to the cell phone. It is a time look at the Jesus through the Bible alone. If you just mind it, okay, better I read it. And you go back and you do the same things. What is that for, isn't it? What is that for? What is the reason why we worship together? And what is the reason why we are spending our time for worship? Anyway, we will not follow, isn't it? Yes, Jesus is speaking in different verse like this. Can you read it?
Therefore, take heed that the light which is in you is not darkness. If then your whole body is full of light, having no part dark, the whole body will be full of light. And when the bright shining of a lamp gives you light.
That's right. We must check if we have a light. Who is a light? The Jesus. Jesus. If we don't have a light now, it's just something really big problem. Yes. Let's go to the main topic, which is while the meat was still between their teeth. Well, meaning to say the meat is between their teeth, about to chew it, isn't it? Okay. Let's read the text verse. Can you read it?
But while the meat was still between their teeth, before it was chewed, the wrath of the Lord was aroused against the people, and the Lord struck the people with a very great plague. So we called the name of that place, because they were there buried the people who had yielded to craving.
Yes. The people who die is there the people who craving. Craving is what is a greeding, wants to have something. Okay? Well, it's just sad to say, but with this verse, we have often heard that all Adventists who go to the heaven must now stop eating meat. Yeah, we say that with this verse. Because the people who go to Canaan, they want to eat the meat. And when they eat the meat, God killed them. It's just something weird. So as I read this scripture a few days ago in the morning, I realized that it is not talking about eating meat or stop eating meat. When I read the Bible verse again and try to check out what is that really meant and why God killed the people. It cannot be a message here because it was God who gave them this quail meat. You know the quail? A quail is a small bird. And the Bible doesn't refer the reason God wrath and send them plagues because of the meat itself. Well, sure, we know the reason. Mostly the people who die in the desert is because they do complain. Okay, can you read it?
Or complained, as some of them also complained, and were destroyed by the destroyer.
Yes. So, I think with this incident, we cannot say that we should not eat meat. But I can say this time you really need to stop eating meat. I tell you reason why, okay? This is the book of Ellen G. White, Your Home and Health. You may can read together and carefully. Can you read it?
Meat has not always been the best of plants, but meat eaten today is doubly bad, because animal diseases are increasing so rapidly. Meat eaters have little idea of what they are eating. If they saw the animal while it was alive and knew the nature of the meat they were eating, they would shudder and turn away. People eat meat all the time that is full of disease and cancer germs. Tuberculosis, cancer, and other deadly diseases are transmitted in this way.
Just imagine, Ellen G. White wrote this over 120 years ago, which is even the cancer was not well known yet. So let's just see though, I try to find the graph. If they are really related, eating meat and the cancer, it goes this way. Can you say that? Yes. While they're eating more meat, the cancer is going more. Do you understand? Because the meat now this time is not clean. It's better you stop. But well, anyway, I'm talking about this hour, we better stop eating meat, but it doesn't mean that God killed them because they eat the meat. Okay? Then why God strike them? Because they are greedy? Because they are complain? Well, God actually spoke this way. Can you read it?
There were foreigners traveling with the Israelites. They had a strong craving for meat, and even the Israelites themselves began to complain. If only we could have some meat.
Yes. Because they are eat meat a lot in Egypt. So they want to eat meat. Do you think that's just kind of sin? I don't feel any kind of sin because they could eager for it. They can request to the God, Lord, we want to eat meat. Well, but anyway, the reason is they complain. That is bad things. So when they have a craving the word here, the tawa means the desire, wish, longings for one's heart. So meaning to say, I really want to eat the meat. This tawa is the heart of Eve before, when she take the forbidden fruit. Can you read this?
So when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree desirable to make one wise, she took of its fruit and ate. She also gave to her husband with her, and he ate.
That's right. This pleasant is the same word, which is tawa. So before Eve take the fruit, she has a kind of greediness that to have the fruit. Well, God gave all the fruit to the Eve, and God prohibited just one fruit. But she wants to have even that last fruit. That we call that greedy. God supported all their fruit through the manna to the people of Israel, but they want to have more. Do you understand? Meaning to say they don't satisfy with the God who gave me this much. If you have a complaint with your life now that God is not giving something, why not to me? If you have that complaint, you must know that you miss something. What is that? The grace of God. By the grace of God, God never let the Israel people get hungry in the desert. But they forget. When the people forget the grace, they become starting have greed, and greedy come out as a complaint. Well, yes, as you know, they complain. And they remember. And we see my neighbor is very rich. Why I'm living like this? And we try to compare when you are not satisfying with the grace from the God. So Israel people start this kind of complaint again. Can you read it?
You remember the fish which we ate freely in Egypt, the cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, onions, and the garlic. But now our whole being is dried up. There is nothing at all except this manna before our eyes.
Yes. Do you think they are thanks about the manna or they hate the manna here? What do you think? They hate the manna. So they become the people who hate the grace of God already. Yes. So when people forget the grace, they having greedy and start to complain. Well, I have a question. So why did God give them the meat when they had the greed and resentment? Resentment, is that right? Resentment, yeah, resentment. Why God give them when they complain it? Because giving them meat was the only way he could stop their resentment. Because without their eating something, sometimes they never stop until they really fully have what they want. God gave them the meat not because it is good for them, but because they really desire it. I had a similar experience. When my son Rocky or the daughter asking for the candy, which is a sweet, I know that that's bad for their teeth. But I give them when they really, really want. Because I have a backup. I can bring them to the dentist, isn't it? So maybe same heart, God gave them the meat. So why did God give them meat and then send the plague before they could eat it? What is the title? Why the meat was still between their teeth before they chewing, God sent the plague and everybody died. Not everybody, but many died. Did God really send these plagues because they desire to eat meat? What do you think? If we think that way, something wrong. Why? Because we are screwing his character. How? He gave meat, okay, you eat. And when they try to eat, okay, you patay, I kill you. Isn't it? It's just strange God, isn't it? Well, remember this. We must remember when God is in the earth, when he fed 5,000 people, what was the food?
Fish.
Fish, that's right. Can you read it together?
Then he commanded the multitudes to sit down on the grass. And he took the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, and looking up to heaven, he blessed and broke and gave the loaves to the disciples, and the disciples gave to the multitudes. So they all ate and were filled. And they took up 12 baskets full of the fragments that remained.
Yes, I have another question. If God thinks that this fish is really bad, do you think Jesus will give them the food like a fish? No. Actually, this time the fish was clean. But now, don't eat, huh? Now, it's a different story. I tell you why. We must, as much as we must stop it. Because, even the scientists say that. I have a question. After Jesus resurrected, what was the food he took? Why everybody so quiet? Well, fish. That's right, fish. Can you read it?
Behold my hands and my feet, that it is I myself. Handle me and see. For a spirit does not have flesh and bones, as you see I have. When he had said this, he showed them his hands and his feet. But while they still did not believe for joy and marveled, he said to them, have you any food here? So they gave him a piece of broiled fish and sun honeycomb. And he took it and ate in their presence.
That's right. So when Jesus ate the fish, the fish was clean. Okay. So we cannot say that the quill is dirty because God is the one who sent the quill to the Israel people. Quill is a small bird, right? Actually, it's not even chicken. Chicken has some flesh to eat, but you just imagine like a quill is that size. But what to eat? Very, very, very small, isn't it? But anyway, God gave them lots of quill. It's coming up to here. So lots of quill came to the camp, and everybody ready to eat actually lots of meat. But before they chew it, and plague came, and many died. Well, again, the fish this time, I don't recommend it. Because I don't recommend to my children. Not only me, I don't recommend, but even the San Francisco, they don't recommend that. So they say that never eat, do not eat any kind of shark or something like this, never eat. And do not eat more than the size of hands like this, because more than they eat this, it's no good. And this is a better, and this is a better, but as much as they are not saying that you don't eat the fish. That is what San Francisco guide line. And you see here, mercury levels of the seafood. And there's some low, like anchovy. The small fishes are low, mercury. But bigger fish, getting bigger, they have lots of mercury. So they don't recommend to eat the fish this time. Now, do you think only mercury is a problem? No. Plastic is more problem. Okay? Right? Okay. So as you see the plastic in the fishes, so this time I don't recommend you to eat the fish as much as you must minimize and come to the garden and find the food from the garden. Sorry, I prepared some chicken for you guys today and saying about this, but when you see how they raise the chicken, because I do drilling, so I see how they raise the chicken, horrible. Okay, well, let's just see then why, back to title, let's just say why God give them plague. Try to read it.
But while the meat was still between their teeth, before it was chewed, the wrath of the Lord was aroused against the people, and the Lord struck the people with a very great plague.
So he called the name. Yep. You can read the 34. Can you read it?
So he called the name of that place Kibroth Hattaavah, because they there buried the people who had yielded to craving.
We must have a question. Because they are desiring God killed, what do you think? Is that God okay? Because they desire to eat something, that God killed them. Can you understand God then? Me, no. What about you? No? And she said, no, never. Yes, I don't. So what we need to do, we need to carefully see. And after this chapter 11, I go to chapter 14, while I read the Bible verse that even the people complaining, God actually say that I be patient. And he says to the Moses this way. Can you read it?
How long shall I bear with this evil congregation who complain against me? I have heard the complaints which the children of Israel make against me.
Yes. He clearly says that I bear with this evil congregation who complain against me. He said, I strike them or I bear. Bear. So meaning to say, I be patient although I know that they are complaining against me. Then what was really reason that God strike them? We must know about it. Otherwise, we will believe the God who is something strange to us, isn't it? Well, I'm sure that is not reason because they complain. And we see when they complain about the meat, God speaks to them like this. It's very interesting. Can you read it?
You shall eat not 1 day, nor 2 days, nor 5 days, nor 10 days, nor 20 days, but for a whole month, until it comes out of your nostrils and becomes loathsome to you, because you have despised the Lord who is among you, and have wept before him, saying, why did we ever come up out of Egypt?
That's right. God knows their heart. God knows their heart. They really love to eat meat and they desire to have meat. So God promised them, although he doesn't like they eat meat, he says that how long he will give the meat? 1 day, 2 days?
Well,
Or for a whole month. Every day he promised that I will give you eat meat. Until what? You become hated eating the meat. I sometimes do that also, like this. When my children asking one snacks, and they really longing for that snacks, then what I do, I buy 2 boxes. And I carry it to the US. And you eat all. You know, they will stop in the middle. They cannot eat it. And they never look for that snacks anymore. I know. My children, When we buy one or two, they can eat even 1,000 snacks. But if we give them like one box, like 200 pieces of snacks in one time, while they're eating, they stop. And again, they're eating, stop. And later, they will really stop eating their snacks. You know what I'm saying about that snacks, isn't it? Yes. God actually promised them He will give for whole months, but they do something evil things. And that is the reason why. When they have no more food in the desert, and they also against God and complain to the God. And God promised them, I will give you something. Then they receive manna. And God says something like this. I will give you 6 days a week. But on Sabbath, you cannot have it. So you must gather it on Friday, double amount. And Sabbath day rest, you cannot have it. But Israel people do this. Can you read it?
Now it happened that some of the people went out on the seventh day to gather, but they found none. And the Lord said to Moses, how long do you refuse to keep my commandments and my laws?
Yes. How long do you refuse to keep my commandments and my law? What does it mean? What does it mean? What does it mean? They don't keep the commandments. What does it mean? They don't have what? What is mean that? If they don't keep His command, what does it mean? They don't have faith. Yes. They don't have a faith. Why? The faith is what? I listen, keep, and do as what God says it. Only the way we can do as a human, sure, the grace is ready by the Jesus Christ, but only the way as a human, what we can do is we must have the faith to come to Jesus. But what they have no is the faith. Yes. These people who try to go out to gather the manna during the Sabbath day, and they do these things again. Can you read it?
And the people stayed up all that day, all night, and all the next day, and gathered the quail. He who gathered least gathered 10 homers, and they spread them out for themselves all around the camp.
Yes. Can you see that how they are rebellious on, to the God? They're making jerk. Is that jerk? Right? Dried meat. What God promised is He will give 1 month, whole month. But they don't believe Him, although they want to save some meat. And what they do is they making the jerky by the meat. And they don't sleep. You see it? And people stayed up all that day, all night. And all the next day and gather the quail. He who gather least gather 10 homers. 10 homers is 1,000 liters. Can you believe it? And they separate them out for themselves all around the camp. Who was in the middle of the camp? The God. Sanctuary was there. Now, the all around the camp become what? Bloody ground of the meat. The reason for this plague on Israel was because they had failed to trust in God's promise. And they once again lost faith in God and refused to obey Him. The people, we can be saved when we have a faith into Jesus. So when they lost all the faith in God, and meaning to say they will do their own way, the Satan is afraid to kill them all. We should remember that this next verse is the one we first saw while the meat was still between their teeth, before it was chewed. The wrath of the Lord was roused against the people, and the Lord struck the people with a very great plague, because they don't have a faith. Well, if we believe that God was angry with them for eating meat and killed them to change their taste, then we serve strange God who gives us meat and kill us for eating it. We must not make up our own interpretation of God's character, because the Bible doesn't say that way. Bible say that they try to gather more, although they have a promise will be given for whole months. Well, God is speaking to them like this. Can you read it?
Then the Lord said to Moses, how long will these people reject me? And how long will they not believe me, with all the signs which I have performed among them?
That's right. They see the signs. Every night, the pillar of the fire is in front of them. And every day, the cloud is them to give them the shade in the desert. Every morning, they have a manna. And even though they have all the quails, but what God says that? How long will they not believe me? Not believe meaning to say they reject the God. So, we can understand like this. When they forget the grace, they become greedy. And when they become greedy, what's starting? Complaint starts. When they complain starts, what is the end here? What do you think? They lose faith. That's right. Step 2, losing faith. Say yes. So losing faith. So when we're losing faith in Jesus, we are in the step of dying ourselves. Well, so what we need to do? Every time when the strife of the life come to us, and when we need something more in our life, when I feel something lacking in my life and I really want to eager for it, then what is the right step we do from here? We must go back to the number 1, and we should not start from the number 1. We should not forget the grace that how God leads your life and lead my life. I feel so thankful to the Lord. At least He let me understand about His sacrifice for the sinner as I am. And that grace, I remember every time I sin. Then that grace hold me not to leave Him totally. Yes, the Bible says it like this. Can you read this?
Look unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith.
Yes. The reason we lose our faith is because we stop looking at our Jesus, who saved you, who forgave you, who gave His life. Well, the Bible advises us, and the Jesus advises us this way. Can you read it?
And now, little children, abide in Him, that when He appears, we may have confidence through Him at His coming.
Amen. I hope we all become who stayed in Him. How can we stay in Him? He is the Word. So we stay in the Word. We do not spend all our time with the cell phone. When you truly open your Bible, I have experienced. I become stop gaming. I stop seeing some other movie. It never become temptation anymore. Why? The light is in me, and the light drive away all the darkness. So please try. Not just to say that I can overcome by myself. Because we never can overcome the sin. Jesus should fight for you. So please, in the Word. And please stay in the Word in this Sabbath. Please keep this Sabbath day holy and away from your cell phone. Let's pray.